Hello everyone, patching into today's video. Got a big video for you today. We are doing a winter 2020-21 NAO forecast for today's video. So this is going to be a very big video, one of the biggest videos that we do at GavsWeatherVids at any point through the year. So I'm going to talk you through the NAO. First of all, we will explain what the NAO is, and then we will give you the forecast in the second part of the video. So if you know about the North Atlantic Oscillation, you know what the positive and negative phases of the NAO are, and if you know the methodology, what we're going to be looking for within this video, then I would suggest you're probably best to skip on through the first of 10-15 minutes until we get to the actual forecast part of the video. But I have to assume that some of the people will be watching this for the very first time, so we have to explain the methodology, and we have to explain what the NAO is. So I'll get on that view very shortly, just to say that if you're enjoying the content of the channel at the moment, particularly if you're enjoying this, if you enjoy this NAO forecast, please can give us a like on the video, give us a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get the subs up to 7,000 subscriptions by the end of this summer, so if you can subscribe and enable all notifications, that would be absolutely great. Share the video far and wide. We want you to share it as far and wide as you can, and just enjoy it really. Let us know in the comments what you think. Okay then, let's get on with it then. And first of all, we're going to talk about what the NAO actually is. So really the NAO is just an index that's reflective of the atmospheric state. It doesn't drive anything in its own terms, just an index that tells us what the atmosphere is doing. So for example, we've got this chart here from the 15th of January 1989. And what we see here is that we've got a large area of high pressure across much of central, western and southwestern Europe. That's the Azores high. And then we've got deep low pressure up to the north around Greenland and Iceland. And this brings in a very strong west to southwesterly wind that blasts all the way over to Russia from the Atlantic. And this is a positive phase of the NAO. When we've got this sort of setup, the NAO is going to be in a positive phase. And it's like the default setup, really, for Northern Europe. Low pressure around Iceland and Greenland. That's where the polar vortex is, of course. High pressure around Spain and France. And in between, those very strong southwesterly winds that drag in the mild air across the Atlantic. It's a reason that for the UK, our prevailing wind direction is southwesterly in the winter. Another good example of a positive NAO is this one from the 3rd of February 1995, and so this one has an area of high pressure again through Spain and France. It's ridging up from the Azores, low pressure towards Greenland and Iceland, and in comes those very mild west to southwesterly winds. That's another example of a very positive winter NAO. Now the flip on that is when we've got a negative NAO, and see the difference. This is from the 16th of February 1969. So where we once had all of that low pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland, now we replace it with high pressure sitting around Greenland and also over towards Iceland as well. Where we have the high pressure across France, Spain, Portugal, now we have low pressure around here and also around northern Italy. So it's a complete flip, and what this does, of course, instead of bringing in those west to southwesterly winds, this pulls in cold north or easterly winds or northeasterly winds. So this allows cold air to pull out of the Arctic and down into northern, central and western Europe, bringing bitterly cold air and snow with it. And this is the negative phase of the NAO. And again, we see this on the 5th of January 2010. Large area of high pressure blocking up towards Greenland and Iceland. Deep area of low pressure across northern, western and also central parts of Europe. It funnels in those cold north northerly, northeasterly or easterly winds, and as the cold air pulls out of the Arctic and down into northern Europe, any precipitation via those areas of low pressure will be turning readily to snow. So the NAO is merely reflecting what the atmospheric state is doing. So essentially when the NAO is positive, then you're going to have low pressure around Greenland, Iceland, and high pressure from the Azores into Spain and France. When the NAO is negative, you're going to have high pressure around Greenland and Iceland, and low pressure will be through Spain, France, southern parts of Europe, and up to central parts of Europe as well. Remember, it's the weather that's driving the index, so it's not the index driving the weather, it's the weather pattern that forces the index either negative or positive. Now, what we're going to be looking for is to get a tripole in the Atlantic Ocean in the month of May to perhaps guide us towards the possibility, anyway, of a negative NAO for the coming winter 2020-21. But I want to start off showing you the sort of setup that can lead to a positive NAO type winter for the following winter. I'm not sure. I've never been sure why we look at the month of May. By the way, the only understanding I have about why it's the month of May that we look at is that in the month of May we tend to have the most tranquil period of the year in the Atlantic, as we lose that contrast between the tropics and the poles. We lose the polar vortex, the jet stream kind of dies away, and so the Atlantic, of course, is always changing in terms of its sea surface temperature profile year by year, and in the month of May it allows the Atlantic to sort of revert into whatever its base state is going to be for that year. And then the idea is that the sea surface temperature anomalies that you get in the month of May can then reoccur as you move through into the winter. This is a UK Met Office theory. They used to use this over many years. I'm not sure if they still use it for their long-range forecast now, as they don't actually issue long-range forecasts, at least publicly. But for many years, the NAO forecast, based on sea surface temperature anomalies in the month of May, was a UK Met Office methodology, and we use it at GavsWeatherVids as well, but we do give a heads up to the UK Met credence to UK Met of people who sort of specialise this methodology. Okay then, so we're not looking at a tripole first of all, though. Actually what we're looking at is a reverse tripole. So with this is from 2015. This is 18th of May 2015. We have up here, we have cold and average sea surface temperature on the south of Greenland. We're warmer through here, through the middle part of the North Atlantic, and then we're cooler again as we go down into the tropical Atlantic. So this is actually, like, it is a tripole, but it's like a reverse tripole, really. It's cool, warm, cool, or cool over warm over cool. Another one that's very similar is 2018, and this is very, very pronounced indeed. So we've got with this one, we've got this horseshoe shape of cold. We've got this deep area of cold and average sea surface temperature anomalies up here, and also down here through the tropics. So to south of Greenland, it's cold and average, and also through the tropical Atlantic, it's cold and average. And then we have this warmer than average area of sea surface temperature anomalies just here. So again, it's very much cold over warm over cold, like a reverse tripole, but this is more extreme in 2015 with this very unusual sort of horseshoe shape of cold that we're going on here. Both of these NAO forecasts for the winter of 2015-16 and for the winter of 2018-19 were positive NAO forecasts based on this methodology. So this methodology would lead us to predict a positive NAO for both the following winters, and indeed that's what we did at GavsWeatherVids for those two winters. Now the tripole is where we get the opposite of that, warm over cool over warm. So this is from the 17th of May 2005. Look at that, we're warmer than average to the south of Greenland. We're colder than average down the eastern seaboard of America, and to some degree, but a little bit less so, extending out in towards like the Azores and going over Spain and even up to some parts of England and Ireland. And then we're warming down here again through the tropical Atlantic. That is like the classic tripole of warm over cold over warm. Classic example. And we see it again in 2010. So again, let's change the colour actually for this one. We're warmer than average here to the south of Greenland. We're colder than average just there and just there. And then look how warm we are through the tropical Atlantic. So it's warm through the tropical Atlantic, cold through the middle of the North Atlantic from the eastern seaboard of America over towards Spain and the Bay of Biscay. And then warmer again to the south of Greenland. And that's a classic tripole. When you get that in the month of May, that can lead you to forecasting a negative NAO for the following winter if that pattern re-emerges in the following winter. Now, for this following winter, we wasn't forecasting at GavsWeatherVids.com, but if we had been, we would have gone for a cold winter, I'm sure, for the winter of 2010-11. And of course, that contained the December to remember. Conversely, though, we would probably have gone for a colder than average winter, or a negative NAO winter, I suppose, with this one, 2005-06 had we been forecast for it, and it wasn't a particularly negative NAO that winter. So this theory is not flawless. It does have flaws. I think it has around a 1 in 3 success rate, something like that. So you can't use this theory on its own to forecast solely for the coming winter. It's just like the first step on the journey, is the way I always describe it. And sometimes you can get May sea surface temperature anomalies in the month of May pointing you towards a positive NAO winter. For example, we've got this from the 18th of May 2009, where there's absolutely no sign of a tripole whatsoever. We're cool through the tropical Atlantic. If anything, we were a little bit warmer there, and perhaps a bit cooler there. Absolutely no sign of a tripole there. But look what happened in the winter of 09-10. We unexpectedly did go into a tripole. So through that winter of 09-10, we went warm to south of Greenland, we went colder through there, and then we went warmer down here. So it's not a flawless theory at all, but it is something that we use to begin our winter updates and our countdown to the winter forecast. And so in a moment, I'm going to pause the video there. And in a moment, we're going to give you the GavsWeatherVids.com Winter 2020-21 NAO forecast. So get yourself a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, or whatever you like to nibble when you're watching the videos. And we shall be back very, very soon. And we're going to give you that Winter 2020-21 NAO forecast. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay then, we're back, and we're ready to give you the Winter 2020-21 NAO forecast from GavsWeatherVids. So in the first part of the video, we was explaining about what the NAO is and about the methodology. So that's brought everybody up to date that doesn't know about the NAO, negative and positive phases, what they are, what it means, and also what we're looking for with our forecast. So now we are ready to give you the GavsWeatherVids.com Winter 2020-21 NAO forecast. And so we're going to look at the sea surface temperature anomalies in the North Atlantic in the month of May. Now, this will be the final time we will be able to use these old sea surface temperature anomaly maps from NOAA. From next year's NAO forecast, we will use the new sea surface temperature anomaly maps, but we will have to compare them back to the old maps. So from next year, the NAO forecast is going to get a little bit complicated. But for this year, for the final time, we can use these sea surface temperature anomaly charts. So the first chart that we have is for the 4th of May, or May the 4th, 2020. And what do we see here? Well, we see quite a lot of warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies through the tropical Atlantic. So down here, it is pretty warm. Going further northwards, we have these cooler than average sea surface temperature anomalies through here. So we have got a warm tropical Atlantic. We haven't got it warmer to the south of Greenland at this point on the 4th of May. So that is not a tripole, but we have got a warmer than average tropical Atlantic. The next one is for the 7th of May 2020. Again, we see warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies through the tropical Atlantic. It's beginning to go a little bit cooler over towards the eastern seaboard, but it's still a bit cooler than average up here. Things are warming a little bit through there. So it's warm through there and cool through there. Again, it's not a tripole, but we do have a warm tropical Atlantic. Then we've got the 11th of May 2020, and again, tropical Atlantic looks pretty warm through here. It's cooler through there, and going up here to some degree. It's going a little bit warmer through there. So, again, the warmer average areas through there, and the cooler areas perhaps over there. Still not really a tripole. Next up, we have the 14th of May 2020. And again, we're warmer through here. That's the one consistent thing that we see. Warmer through the tropical Atlantic. Getting ever cooler around here, interestingly. Still a little bit cool there, and still a little bit cool there, really. So it's through here, but it's cooler, and then through there, it's like warmer. It's quite an unusual pattern that we've got here. It's not a tripole, but, excuse me, for warm and average sea surface temperature on the tropical Atlantic is interesting. Next up is the 18th of May 2020. Again, warm through here. Getting ever cooler through here towards the eastern seaboard of the United States, and perhaps just beginning to warm a little bit through there. It's not all that far away from a tripole. It's not really a classic tripole. May not be all that far away from it, though. This is the 21st of May 2020. And again, we're warm through here. That is the one consistent thing we see. We're cooling ever more through here. And we still just can't get rid of these cold average sea surface temperature anomalies to the south of Greenland either, really. So it's just a little bit cooler there. So again, it's quite close to being a tripole, but it's just not quite there. And then the last chart that we have for May 2020 on this view is for the 25th of May 2020. And so we're warmer through here and through there and through there. We're getting ever cooler through here, through this area, from the eastern seaboard going up towards Ireland and the UK. So all of that is really in line with being a tripole, actually. So that is in line with being a tripole, and that and that. This is as well. So we have got 2 out of 3, that's okay. The issue, as it has been through many years recently actually, is just here, where it continues to be rather cool to the south of Greenland. If it was warmer here, if it was warmer there, and it was cooler there, cooler there, cooler there, and then of course it's warmer here, then we would have like the classic tripole. We have warm over cool over warm. We just don't quite get that. But what we do get is a warm tropical Atlantic through here, and then cooler through there, and we just don't quite get it up here. So it's very close to being a tripole that's emerging here again through the month of May. This is something that we've seen last year. I think we saw this last year and also in 2017 as well. It's quite close to being a tripole. It just isn't quite there. So the 2 closest years, I've been back through the archives. I'm not going to show you all of the years, but I've been back through all of the archives, and all the way back to the early 1980s, actually. And the 2 closest matches that I can get to this are going to be 2017, just here, when again we had quite a warm tropical Atlantic through there. It was cooler through here and through there, but also quite cool to the south of Greenland as well. So cool there and then warm down here. That's one quite close match. And then the other quite close match that we've got is for 2019. where again it's quite cool through here. It's quite warm there, but not as warm as this year or 2017 actually. I mean, it's cool to south of Greenland again. So with this, again, it's quite similar to 2017 and to this year, and it's cool there, there and there, but it's warmer through there. But I think out of the two, 2017 is the closest match. So I'm going to give you the forecast now for the winter of 2020-21. I've explained how the sea surface temperature anomalies have developed through May 2020. What's very evident is that we've got that warmer than average sea surface temperature anomaly in the tropical Atlantic. Actually, I'm going to close down the tab for 2020. So what I'm going to do for May 2020, what I'm going to do is pause the video, and I want to get May, one of the charts up for May 2020 actually for you. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'll see you back in around 2 seconds. Okay, sorry about that. We just had to pause the video while I get the chart back up for May 2020. So this is from the 25th of May 2020. It's the last chart that we have from NOAA on this old version of sea surface temperature anomaly maps. So giving you the forecast, what is very evident, of course, with this with this May's sea surface temperature anomaly profile is that we have significantly warmer than average temperature anomalies in the tropical Atlantic. So that's always a very interesting starting point when you have it warmer there. And then we have the cooler area through here, of course. And it's just not quite right to forecast tripole to the south of Greenland. However, again, and this is something that we've seen quite a bit of over the past few years, 2018 exempted, but we saw this quite a bit in 2019, so quite a bit in 2017. I think 2016 might have been a little bit like this as well. So with the warm tropical Atlantic, the cold average area sea surface temperature anomalies like around the eastern seaboard and going into the middle of the North Atlantic, we're very close to a tripole, but to the south of Greenland it's not quite right. So we can't forecast a tripole with this again. It's not the classic warm over cold over warm three-way band that we need to be able to forecast a classic negative NAO tripole. What we have got, though, is the warm tropical Atlantic and colder towards the seaboard in the middle of the North Atlantic. And so I think this leads us, again, it's been a similar forecast quite a bit over the past few years. It leads us to forecast like a neutral NAO, really. That's going to be like the central point with this, and within this forecast. And, of course, within that, there's a margin of error. So if you can think that we've got like a swingometer, and the middle of the swingometer would be pointing to neutral. But on either side of that, we've got like weakly negative on the one side. On the other side, we've got weakly positive. And within the margin of error for this, we could be on either side, really, of neutral. So we could actually have, or we could forecast a negative NAO winter, weakly negative, but on the same time, we could forecast weakly positive NAO winter. So the margin of error means that as we're coming out very close to neutral again, it's something that we said last year and in 2017 as well, as we're coming out like neutral with this, then the margin of error could place us in a weakly negative NAO, it could place us in a weakly positive NAO. What I would say, however, is that out of the 2 years, I've got the 2 years back up, so that's 2017, out of 2017, May 2017 sea surface temperature anomalies, and 2019, I think 2017 is the closest match. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. But I think that this year's May sea surface temperature anomaly is a closer match to 2017, to May 2017, than it is to May 2019. So out of the two, I would very much go with 2017, and of course that was like a slightly negative NAO winter, especially late on when the beast from the east started getting going. So if I had to sort of move that pendulum one way or t'other, I would probably move it more towards weakly negative, if anything, with this NAO forecast. I would probably go weakly negative to neutral on the scale. But neutral is like the central point with this forecast, as again it's just not quite right to the south of Greenland with the sea surface temperature anomaly profile, but it really isn't all that far from a tripole. And how warm the tropical Atlantic is, it's always very interesting when the tropical Atlantic is particularly warm. So again, with that pendulum being pointing towards neutral, if you had to swing it either way within the margin of error, I suspect I would tend to favour swinging it more towards weakly negative to neutral. One last thing I want to leave you with, we'll get rid of those and those, is this. Now, this is a new version of the sea surface temperature anomaly maps, and this is what we'll be using for the NAO forecast from next year, I suppose. And with this, if I was using this for this year's NAO forecast, I would probably forecast a negative NAO, actually, because we have got the warm and average sea surface temperature through here. This is from the 7th of May, cooler through there, but crucially to the south of Greenland, on this version, it is actually warmer, and that is probably a tripole that we have there, albeit quite a weak one. And by the end of the month, or later on in the month, that scene was actually strengthening a little bit. So this is for the 23rd of May. So again, warmer through here, cooler through there, but crucially also a little bit warmer to the south of Greenland as well. So that does look tripole-esque, I have to say. And so if I was using that on its purely on its own, then I would probably go for a negative NAO there, albeit quite a weak negative NAO, but I would probably go for a negative NAO if I was using those sea surface temperature anomaly maps. For this forecast, I have not chosen to use them. I've chosen to use the old version for the final time. But it's interesting how the new version shapes up. So that's it really, and it's another interesting forecast. It's quite a complicated forecast again, because we are very close to a tripole. Not quite there on the old version of the sea surface temperature anomaly maps, but probably there on the new version of the sea surface temperature anomaly maps. Nevertheless, I think a neutral NAO winter is going to be like the central point with this. And within that, we've got the margin of error, so the pendulum could swing to weakly negative, it could swing to weakly positive. As the sea surface temperature anomalies look closer to May 2017, than they do to May 2019, I would tend to swing that pendulum, if I had to, in the margin of error, towards the negative side. So I think we say that the NAO forecast winter 2020-21 is a central point of being neutral. Within that, possibly tilting towards weakly negative. And this means that, again, the other drivers of the weather, as the Atlantic is going to be in a sort of a neutral type setup, probably, with its sea surface temperature anomalies, then the other great drivers of the weather are going to be very important. And those are the things that we look at through the winter updates, of course. So with that, we're talking about things like ENSO, what's happening with El Nino and La Nina. We're talking about things like the QBO, the quasi-biennial oscillation. We will also be talking about things like Atlantic hurricane activity. With such a warm tropical Atlantic, we're very likely to have quite a big hurricane season. Things like the advancement of snow cover across Eurasia during the month of October and through the autumn generally. Those things are going to be quite important again this season, as the Atlantic itself, the Atlantic Ocean itself, is not particularly, or doesn't look particularly well set up for like a positive NAO. When you get the kind of pattern that we had in May 2018, for example, then the Atlantic at that point can override everything else, probably. It's probably strong enough to override everything else and just give you an Atlantic onslaught. But when the setup is like it is this year, like it was 2017, for example, then we have to think about, consider all the other great drivers of the weather. So I think what we need to do is say that this is our starting point. So every journey has a first step. Every saga has a beginning. This is the first step. This is the starting point for the winter of 2020-21. But it's no more than that. This just gets us to base camp, if you like. What we have to do now is sort of go away and enjoy the rest of the summer. And then we come back in September and we begin our winter updates. We begin the countdown to winter of 2020-21 with the first winter update on Sunday, the 6th of September. So it'd be quite an interesting day, I would have thought. But between now and then, of course, we've got the summer of 2020 to enjoy. So in the final analysis, the GavsWeatherVids.com winter 2020-21 NAO forecast is predicting a neutral NAO, but with the pendulum perhaps swinging more towards the negative side within the margin of error. And that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, then please can you give us a like on the video? Can you subscribe to our channel and share the video far and wide wherever you can? And let me know in the comments what you think. And the winter 2020-21 updates will begin on Sunday the 6th of September. But for the GavsWeatherVids Winter 2020-21 NAO forecast, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.